Hey guys, it's Chris, and welcome to the first of many videos in my new Mac tutorial course. This first part of this first video will just be explaining a little bit on what the course is going to cover. And so if you are a brand new user to the Mac, or if you're semi-new and you want to get started with refreshing your voiceover usage, and maybe you want to try and pick up some little tips and tricks, this is going to be the course for you. In this first video, I'm going to be taking you around some commonly used sections of the Mac, showing you some basic voiceover commands, showing you how to do basic things like open apps, navigate the Finder, change some computer settings, all that stuff. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and jump to my desktop.
Finder, desktop, media. You are currently on the volume.
So, first thing I'm going to do is describe the key differences, actual keys on the keyboard differences between the Mac and Windows. I am going to be doing a lot of Windows references here because when people switch from a Mac, that's most likely what they switch from, unless they switch from Linux. In that case, they're weird. But anyway, so the main differences you need to know are a group of 4 keys on the bottom left corner of the keyboard. That's on the bottom row to the left of the spacebar. I'm going to start all the way to the left with function. And function isn't super important. It does a lot of hardware things. You can use it to control your display brightness. So if I do function F1 a couple of times.
Display brightness, 100%, 94%, 88%.
And then F2 to bring it back
100%.
Up. Function F3
mission control
goes to mission control. Function F4
interact with grid. Safari. You are currently
goes to Launchpad. And if you heard voiceover, it said it interacted with a grid and started saying the name of an application. And what is on the screen right now, for those who cannot see what's going on, a grid of applications has faded into view, and it's similar to the screen of an iPad. So it's a very iOS-like experience. So I'm going to actually come back to Launchpad later when I talk about launching apps. So I'm going to press the escape key to exit out of this, and it should jump me right back to my desktop.
Finder, desktop, media. You are currently on the volume.
All right, so that is just, a few examples of what the function key does. 3 more important ones. So function F12 turns volume up, function F11 volume down, function F10 mutes. So that's pretty much it for the function key for now. You can use it to control media playback, your backlight brightness if you are using a laptop. Most modern Mac laptops from like 2010 on, I think, or 2009 on, have lights behind their keys for low light situations. So the next 2 keys are control and option, going from left to right. So far you have function, control, and option. And control and option are very important for voiceover users because these are the voiceover keys. Let me actually see something here.
Mac backup, media. Mac backup. You are currently on the volume. Mac backup. Mac backup.
Let's see.
Enter search text. You are currently on the volume. Voiceover help. Mac backup. You are currently on the volume.
The voiceover keys are extremely important because these are what can be used to do voiceover commands. So that's control and option. Also, you can use your caps lock key. So for the rest of the course, remember when I say VO plus another key, I'm talking about either your caps lock or your control and option keys, whichever you prefer. Sorry, I had to check to make sure my caps lock shortcut was enabled. I think by default when you update to El Capitan it is. So over to the right of that, and this is directly to the left of the space bar, is your command key. Command takes the place of Alt. And it's very important because this is how you do a lot of Mac commands. For example, Command C copies, Command V pastes, stuff like that. So I'm going to actually correlate all 4 of these keys to an average Windows keyboard. So on the very left you have function, then you have control, then you have Windows, then you have Alt. And translating that to a Mac keyboard, it's a function, control, option, command. So that's pretty much all you need to know about the Mac keyboard. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. So if you would like to use keyboard commands, I will be explaining those. If you would like to use trackpad commands, I will also be explaining those. Trackpad commanders are mainly used on laptops, but if you decide to get a trackpad with your desktop, they will work there as well. So the reason that I do trackpad commands as well is because a lot of the commands are brought over from iOS. So your left and right swipe to move you front and back respectively. You can do rotoring, you can do up and down to move you through items with your swipes. You can do, a 3-finger double tap.
Voiceover muted.
To mute your speech, again to unmute.
Voiceover unmuted.
You can do a 3-finger triple tap to turn on screen curtain. I'm not going to do that because I'm recording my screen. So as you can hear, I'm rotoring.
Words, window spots, navigation, characters.
And as I swipe down,
M, A, C, space.
See? So rotoring works as well. So there's one thing that I actually want to say before
Quick nav off.
I get started. If you heard my computer just say that quick nav was off, for the sake of this tutorial, you want to keep quick nav off. I'm going to get into quick nav in a different tutorial, but essentially what quick nav allows you to do is to do a whole lot of different voiceover commands, like all your swipes and navigations and rotors and all that stuff with just your arrow keys. But I want to go ahead and teach the basics first. So navigating with your voiceover keys, control and option, or your voiceover shortcut caps lock if that's enabled, and your arrow keys along with the trackpad. So the first thing I am going to do is show you how to navigate one of the most used parts of your Mac, which is the Finder. The Finder is your file explorer. It is the equivalent, if not better, I think it's better honestly, than Windows Explorer. You can use this to locate apps, files, pictures, whatever. So if you are on your desktop is technically part of your Finder. And to open a new Finder window, if the location that you're looking for is not in one of your desktop icons, you locate the command key on your keyboard, which if you remember is directly to the left of your spacebar. Windows users, this is your Alt key. Alt always translates to Command. Command always translates to Alt. So I'm going to press Command N.
New Finder window, documents, image browser. You are currently on a group. To interact with items in this group, press Control, Option, Shift, down arrow.
So voiceover hints, they're going to be announcing keyboard commands. I'm going to let it announce the keyboard command, and I'm also going to repeat that command just to explain it a little more, and I'm also going to do the trackpad equivalent of that. So the Finder has a few main parts. I'm going to use one of my custom voiceover gestures, and I'll actually show you how to do that in a future video to jump right to the top of the window because I want to show you all the elements of the Finder.
Trackpad commander is already on toolbar. You are currently on a toolbar. To interact with the items on this toolbar, press Control, Option, Shift, down arrow.
So here we have toolbar. This is the first element of the Finder that you'll most likely be interacting with. There are a few buttons like maximize and close and all that stuff that are to the left of this. You can swipe to them if you'd like and look at them out. Pause the video and then come back when you are refocused on the toolbar. But for now, this is where I'm going to continue. So I'm going to go ahead and do what's called an interact here in a second. And I'm going to explain what interacting is. Each Mac window is laid out into a group, or a combination of groups rather. And the reason that they do that is because, say you want to go past the toolbar and you want to get to the sidebar, or you want to go past all that to get to the image browser, which is where all your files live. You don't want to have to swipe through all of that stuff, all of the elements on your toolbar, all of the elements in your sidebar, which, depending on how many things you add, can be a lot, just to get to your files. So everything is arranged in little neat groups. So if I'm at the toolbar and I either do VO right arrow to move me to the right, or to the next item, or I do a right swipe on my trackpad.
Sidebar. Documents. Selected. You are currently on a table. To enter this table, press Control Option Shift down arrow.
There is the sidebar. I'm going to keep going.
Vertical splitter. You are currently on a vertical splitter. To start interacting with the splitter, press Control Option Shift down arrow.
I'm not going to explain the vertical splitter. It's not that important. It's a visual thing, I believe.
Image browser. You are currently on a group. To interact with items in this group, press Control Option Shift down arrow.
There we go. So I just skipped past everything in the toolbar, everything in the sidebar, to get straight to the file browser. Now, if I wanted to look at my files, I could interact with this. But I'm going to jump all the way back to the top. If you do not have a voiceover commander, just swipe to the left until you get to the toolbar. But I'm going to go ahead and use my custom commander and jump all the way up.
Toolbar. You are currently on a toolbar. To interact with the items on this toolbar, press Control Option Shift down arrow.
Now, as you can hear, VoiceOver says that you can interact with the toolbar by pressing either your VoiceOver keys, which are Control and Option, holding down Shift, and pressing your down arrow, or if you have your Caps Lock key enabled, you can do Caps Lock Shift down arrow, which is much faster. If you would rather use the trackpad to interact, it is a 2-finger swipe to the right. Inversely, you can do a 2-finger swipe to the left to stop interacting on the trackpad. You can do your voiceover keys, Control and Option.
Notification.
Oh goodness, hold on.
Complete. You press Finder.
Sorry about that. You can do, if you have your Caps Lock key enabled, you can do Caps Lock, Shift, and up arrow to stop interacting. So I'm going to go ahead and interact.
Interact with toolbar. 8 items back. Logic access. You are Brent Crawford. You are currently on Logic access. You are currently on a group. Inside. Stop interacting with toolbar. Interact with view. Back.
So
You are currently on a group. Inside of a toolbar. To interact with items in this group, press Control Option Shift down arrow. To navigate items on this toolbar, press Control Option and then up arrow, down arrow, left arrow, or right arrow. To exit this toolbar, press Control Option Shift up arrow.
there you go. So it basically just explained everything I'm going to tell you. So you can use, if you hold down your voiceover keys or your Caps Lock key and press your left, right, up, or down arrows, you can navigate items in this toolbar. If you would like to do it on the trackpad, it would be a left or a right swipe. I am, in fact, using the trackpad, so I'm going to start swiping to the right. We are on a group that houses your forward and back buttons.
View. You are currently on a radio group inside of a toolbar. To navigate items on this toolbar, press Control Option and then up arrow, down arrow, left arrow, or right arrow. To exit this toolbar.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute that. So this view group will determine how your files show up. So if you want them in a grid pattern, if you want them in a list, if you want them in a tree view, that's where you can go. Or you can do Command 1, 2, 3, or 4 to change your views. That's not super important at the moment. So if you think that you're going to need that later in this course, you most likely won't.
Arrange. You are currently on a menu button inside of a toolbar. To choose this menu item, press Control Option Space. To navigate items on this toolbar, press Control.
All right.
Action. You are currently on a menu button inside of a toolbar. Share. Share the selected items. You are currently on a button inside of a toolbar. To click this button, press Control Option Space. To navigate items on this toolbar.
So this is the share button. This is really awesome because what you can do is you can go into your files, select one, and then stop interacting with your image browser and go up here to the toolbar and share, or you can just use your context menu, which is much faster.
Edit tags. You are Dropbox. Search text field. Search text field.
So if you ever want to search your Mac for something, your search text field will be all the way to the right in your toolbar. So I'm going to go ahead and stop interacting, and just as a reminder, you use your voiceover keys plus Shift and up arrow, or your voiceover shortcut, which is Caps Lock, Shift, or up arrow. If you're using the trackpad, is a 2-finger swipe to the left.
Stop interacting with toolbar.
All right, so let's look at the other elements of the Finder. The toolbar honestly isn't that important. I don't use it very much. There are shortcut keys to do everything in here. So I'm going to swipe to the right.
Sidebar. Documents. Selected. You are currently on a table. To enter this table, press Control Option Shift down arrow.
Alright, so your sidebar is like your quick access to all of the most commonly used locations on your Mac. You can get to your Dropbox, you can get to AirDrop, you can get to iCloud Drive, your desktop, documents, downloads, movies, music, pictures, all that stuff. I don't have all that in my sidebar, but if you wish to, and you use all of those places a lot, you can add them here. So I'm going to go ahead and interact.
Interact with sidebar. Documents. Selected.
So, I already have my documents selected.
Downloads. Your devices. Expanded.
So, here is a subcategory. This is where all of my external devices, like the partitions on my hard drive, live. But I actually want to go back up to documents. So, I'm going to swipe to the left to go back.
Downloads. You are currently on a cell 2 items inside of a table. Documents. You are currently on a cell 2 items.
So, what's happening is, as I move over these locations, the Finder image browser is switching to them. So I don't have to double tap on them, I don't have to do VO space, which is the equivalent of double tapping and choosing an item. I can just stop interacting.
Stop interacting with sidebar.
Swipe to the right over to the image browser.
Vertical splitter. Image browser. You are currently on a group. To interact with items in this group, press Control Option Shift down arrow.
And I'm going to go ahead and interact.
Interact with image browser. 7 items, win 7.
Here we go. Now we are in the window with all of our files. So as you can see here, I have a Windows 7 file. This is a virtual machine. So if I were to either do a double tap or your voiceover keys and the space bar to activate it, it would start up a Windows virtual machine, which I do not want to do right now. That's a totally different beast. It'll be covered in a later episode.
Win 7. To use Brent Crawford. You are.
So I'm currently swiping to the right through my files.
Logic access. Logic shortcuts. You are Myrianis. You are logic mixes. Logic mixes.
So you hear that?
Logic mixes.
That little ping?
Logic mixes.
What's happening is I'm trying to move to the right, and that's the last file, so I can't. And that's honestly all there is to the Finder. So, say you want to do something with a file.
Win 7. To use GarageBand 10 with voiceover.m4a. You are currently on Apple.
Wow, the person who sent me that spelled that wrong. So, there is actually no trackpad gesture that I know of. If you think of one or find one, please leave it in the comments. I would like to know. I could come back and edit this video and put it in here and re-upload. But if I want to activate my context menu, which is the equivalent of your applications key on Windows, you do voiceover keys, Shift M, or caps lock Shift M.
Menu.
Here we are. So I'm gonna start. One thing that I want to say is I find at least that it's easier to move around Windows with your arrow keys and caps lock, or your arrow keys and your voiceover keys, because with the trackpad you have to rotor to navigation to move properly.
Word, win, characters, navigation, show view options, tags, ellipsis. You are currently on the menu
now
item.
I can swipe down through this.
Radio group.
Or I could just hold down caps lock and press my down
Encode
arrow.
selected audio files. Reveal in Finder. Reveal in Find. Encode selected audio files. Radio group. Tags, ellipsis. Show view options. Clean up selection. Copy. To use GarageBand 1. Share. Quick look. To make alias. Duplicate. You are currently on the menu item. To choose this.
To get out of that menu, but if you ever want to know how to get to the context menu, that is how. So this concludes the section on the Finder. Next, we're going to talk about the menu bar.
QuickTime Player. QuickTime Player. Screen selector. Screen 3. Stop recording. Finder. Desktop.
Alright, you guys. So, the next thing I am going to start to explain to you is the menu bar. The menu bar is a section of the screen that stretches across the top, and it houses things like your Apple menu, your application menu, file, edit, view, window, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff. Windows users, you know what I'm talking about. You get there by pressing Alt and just using your arrow keys to move left or right through your menus and using your down arrow keys to enter your menus. It's the exact same thing. Now, you can use your quick nav to do this with just your arrows, but again, quick nav will be in a different episode. I'll probably do quick nav tomorrow. But to get to your menu bar, and I'm going to explain two of the menus up there, you do your voiceover keys and M. And on the trackpad,
You are currently on a menu bar item. To open this menu,
it is a 2-finger double tap at the top edge of your trackpad. But here is what I suggest. I'm going
Media.
to escape out of here. I suggest you use your arrow keys for now on the menu bar because, like I said in the previous segment of the video, I find it easier to navigate with my arrow keys because I don't have to make sure that my rotor setting is on navigation and all that stuff. So I'm going to do my VO keys or caps lock as my VO shortcut plus M.
Menu bar Apple. You are currently on a menu bar item. To open this menu, press Control Option Space.
So it told you that you can open the menu by pressing Control Option and Space. Let me go ahead and mute my phone real quick. And you can do that, or you can do VO down arrow. Your voiceover keys, Control and Option, or your voiceover shortcut key, which is caps lock, just as a reminder. So if I do a down arrow
Apple.
with my VO keys, here I am in the Apple menu. So the Apple menu is where a lot of important system functions are. Let me mute my voiceover. Sorry about that. The Apple menu is where a lot of important functions are. So I'm going to hold down caps lock and start pressing my down arrow.
About this Mac. You are currently on a menu item. To choose this menu item, press Control Option Space. To close this menu, press Escape.
You can also do a double tap here to open this item, but since you're already navigating with the keyboard, you might as well do caps lock space or your VO keys and space to activate this item. About this Mac is where you can find all your system specs, so how much hard drive storage you have, what kind of processor you have, how much memory you have, all that stuff. So I'm going to continue down.
System Preferences Ellipsis. You are currently on a menu item. To choose this menu item,
Sorry about that. Here are your system preferences. I will cover these in a later video, actually. But believe it or not, because of the things that I'm showing you in this first video, if you go into system preferences, you already know how to do everything. So, I'm going to keep going down.
App Store Ellipsis.
There's your App
You are
Store.
currently on recent items.
Your recent items, so your most recent opened files and applications.
Force Quit Ellipsis. Command Option Escape.
Force Quit, which is like quitting an application in the task manager.
Sleep. You are currently Restart Ellipsis.
Restart.
Shutdown Ellipsis.
Shut down.
Log out Christopher Only Log out Christopher Only Ellipsis. Command Shift Q.
So I'm going to
Log out.
escape out of that. That's what the Apple menu does. And the next one I'm going to
Menu bar.
talk to you about
Finder. You are
is
currently on a menu bar item.
your applications menu. And the applications menu will have a different name depending on what application you are in, and there's a reason for that. In Windows, you have a separate menu bar for each application you're in. So if you have a whole bunch of windows up on your screen at one time, you'll have a whole bunch of menu bars up in your screen at one time. But what happens with the menu bar on the Mac is it stays put. There's only one. There is no menu bar in your application itself, but as you switch applications, the options on your menu bar will switch. So for example, you notice here
Apple. Finder.
this next menu, the second menu to the right of the Apple menu, is called Finder because I'm located at my desktop, which, as I mentioned earlier, is part of the Finder. But if I
Media.
escape out of this and go to Messages,
QuickTime Player. iTunes. Space with
or
application.
iTunes, whichever one, and press VOM,
Menu bar. Apple. iTunes. You are
You'll notice now that the menu option is now called iTunes. So the options in that one menu bar will change based on what application you are
Music.
in.
Finder. Desktop.
By the way, I'm switching applications with Command Tab, which is the equivalent of Alt Tab. Same locations on your keyboard. While I'm thinking about it, if you're tabbing around, I'm going to hold down my Alt or my Command key and start tabbing. But as I tab, I'm going to keep the Command key held down.
iTunes. Messages. Messages. 1 unread. Conversations.
So here we are in Messages. You can actually hold that down and continuously cycle through your windows instead of continuously pressing the two keys together. So just as another example,
Menu bar. Apple. Messages.
the application menu is also Messages. And the reason it changes like that is because there are things in here that you can do that correlate to the application that you're in.
Messages. About messages. Preferences. Ellipsis. Command. Comma. You are
So,
currently on.
there is where you will find your application preferences. You can also use, as VoiceOver said, the Command key plus comma to get to your preferences.
Conversation.
So, there's actually one more part of the menu bar I want to show you. And what I mean by that is the menu bar is actually separated into two parts. There's the first part, which is where all of your, of course, menus for your application are located. And there's the second part, which is kind of what I call the system menu bar or something. It's the equivalent of your system tray. And to get there, you press VOM once.
Selected. Menu bar. Apple. You are currently on a menu bar item.
And once more.
Menu extras. Wi-Fi. 4 of 4 bars. Wi-Fi OS 90YAT. You are.
And here,
Wi-Fi. 4 of 4 bars.
you can find things like your Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. Thursday 8:22 p.m. Thursday 8. Wi-Fi. 4 of 4 bars. Wi-Fi. Thursday 8:22 p.m. Messages. Messages.
Your Bluetooth, your accessibility stuff, all that. So that's where you see your battery power. That's where you see, if Dropbox is syncing or not, if it's up to date, all that stuff. So that's just kind of a brief explanation of your menu bar.
Finder. iTunes. QuickTime Player. Screen selector. Click to screen recording. 1.1. Stop recording.
All right, guys. So now you have the basics of recording. All right, guys. So now you have the basics of using VoiceOver. This can be applied to any application that you use. I will have more videos coming soon. I really hope you guys enjoy. Stay tuned for the next video. And of course, this is Chris from Access Tech Media, signing out.